This is what we were looking at right near the opening of the market. This is just as market open. Right before market open, we had this push up on the 1 minute chart. This is the VWAP, and coming up, we've crossed the VWAP, and now market has opened right here in this white area next to the blue area. So 6:30 a.m. right here, and we're coming up to the session or the low of this anchored VWAP and the regular VWAP, and we're coming and we're watching for this spot, and something is going to happen here. This is the 15-second chart. So this is going to all happen pretty quickly. So one of the things we can take away from this video is that we have to be on the ready and watching these critical areas and see what happens, because it could literally happen pretty quick. So as see right there, we would have had to have a possibility of a rejection here, and literally this rejection happened in 15 seconds. This is the 15-second chart. In one bar of the 15-second, we rejected pretty convincingly. So that could be a clue for our future watching this little spike down. Just some grabbing of even this little bit of liquidity here is all that happened. And that becomes the clue of the day. If we don't have a trade of the day, we at least have a clue of the day, which is this 15-second candle being so resoundingly rejected right there, rejecting the anchored VWAP and the previous day's high right there, and as well as value area high right there. So if we don't have a trade of the day, we at least have a concept of the day, which is the speed of the rejection. And as we go forward, so at this point, we gotta have this in place. Maybe okay, so I'm not saying we caught this right now, but looking at the 15-second chart, if we get a little bit of a pullback right on the 15-second chart, which is this dotted line right there, this dotted line, and that's what this green box is trying to catch. So the dotted line is right there. Then we can catch this bounce, or we can catch this rejection. Which if we use the 1 minute, we could better visualize this. So I've made it onto the 1 minute chart for the green box, because this little pullback right there with these wicks forming like this, that's the little dip right there. You see the horizontal line, and the 1 minute did touch that. And if you were ready and nimble enough and had this possibility in mind of the this rejection here at London low and point of control, and the rejection at the VWAP. Now we're on top of the VWAP, and we've had this 15-second very quick rejection, resounding rejection, and we put this 1 minute green box here. That was the idea of the day. Whether it's the trade of the day, at least it's an idea of the day that I could file away. And then from there, from this rejection, I just play it out. We have this high volume node right there. Which we should really, yeah, we moved the dash line right below. So right there is 3.24, and we would have had a decent risk reward. So there's the idea of the day and possibly the trade of the day right there. All right, so to recap, we had the pre-market move up, and right at the market open, we still continue to move up, and then on the 1 minute we start to make this double top. On the 15-second we had this triple top, and it starts to come down, and the question is, what are we doing here doing this coming down, and what is the meaning of this? How do we interpret this in hindsight that we could put it all together? Well, it came down as a retracement to then, after it climbed up the VWAP and the anchored VWAP for the low right there, it climbed above that, and right at market open, climbed all the way up here, and it starts to make a retracement. And then the idea of the day right here is this 15-second candle. This little rejection was so big in wick and happened so quick as a rejection. So it just came down to grab this liquidity right here, right there, right here, just even this little bit of liquidity. And it just then rejected the VWAP and the previous day's high and the value area high. And this wick, this speed right there, that's the idea of the day. And then we had this 15-second little retest, allowing for this 1 minute catch right there to have a stop below the low of that wick right there. And then it moves up to a high area node right there. And that's a 3.24. And if that's not the trade of the day, that's at least the idea of the day right there, the wick. And that's, I didn't trade this. This is at market open, and it illustrates that things can happen fast, and we have to remain flexible and on the ready. And the idea that at some point you're running on instinct because these things happen so fast, you mentally prepare and you visualize what could happen. And then for the execution, it's kind of the somatic markers. It's kind of the ventral medial prefrontal cortex and the somatocortex and the entire gut that is in play. The gut and the body has the ready action to take, and then the frontal lobe, the dorsolateral PFC, comes in as a final check, and it either vetoes the whole idea, or it gets out of the way and lets the body act, let the body brain go take this action on instinct. It's all right there in the moment. And whether one action is right or wrong, it all depends on the pieces fitting together, and it's all in the moment.